Welcome, everyone. I am Marcy Peterson, Marketing Technology Director at WheatonArts. In 2020, WheatonArts marked its 50th anniversary as the most unusual and creative landmark and as one of the most unusual and creative landmarks in the Northeast. There are three big ways to support WheatonArts, and they are through membership, donations, and shopwheatonarts.org. Again, shop.wheatonarts.org. So please consider exploring these options so that we can continue to offer free programs like this. You can also contact Rhody Barron, Director of Development, if you would like to discuss different opportunities for supporting WheatonArts and opportunities for you, such as sponsorship. Um, Up next is Wheaton Conversations Voices in Studio Glass, the Paul Hollister Archives. Please join us on April 8th to listen to Barb Elam and Catherine Whalen from Bard Graduate Center as they discuss voices in the studio glass, maker and place, and the critical writings and photography of Paul Hollister. This is a multimedia web-based digital exhibition and publication. And it's my pleasure now to introduce Dr. Iveta Bergova, the Director of the Department of Folk Life and Cultural Studies at WheatonArts. She's going to monitor the questions in the Q&A window, and she's going to speak for you as you ask those questions. And over to you now, Iveta.
Thank you very much, Marcy. I have to admit, I'm really excited to see these many people coming from all over the world, literally. We have some in our backyard in Melbourne and Bridgeton, and we have some on the other side of the country and in Australia. This is really fantastic. Welcome, everyone. It is now my great pleasure to introduce our presenters tonight. I will begin with Yolanda Alcorta. Yolanda is a co-founder of the Raíces Culturales Latinoamericanas, and she's also a longtime board member of the Friends of the Ixchel Museum. Yolanda has collected textiles for 40 years and curated Maya textile exhibits in Longwood Gardens, Morris Arboretum, and Teller Puerto Riqueño. I believe this is in Philadelphia. As executive director of Raíces, she worked closely with Latino communities in and around Philadelphia. She developed educational programs, annual festivals, and many exhibits. Now, Yolanda is residing in DC. She expanded the Raíces program by creating actual and virtual cultural corridors in the Mid-Atlantic states. Yolanda develops programs for the Smithsonian National Museum of the American Indian, including events featuring Maya traditions and textiles, dance with live marimba music, and traditional sawdust carpets. One of her many current projects is forming a women's weaving coup, Weaving for the Future, which is sponsored by the Friends of the Ixchel Museum. Welcome, Yolanda.
Thank you. Gracias, Iveta. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Ubaldo is from a family of artists from Concepcion, Chiquirichiapa,
Very good.
Guatemala. Ubaldo's work explores the rich art and culture of the Mayan people of Guatemala. His talent was noticed early by his teachers in Guatemala, and at age 8, they brought him to neighboring towns to motivate and work with other children. He arrived in the US at 16, already an accomplished young artist. As a senior, his portrait of Barack Obama New Dawn represented Virginia students and is now in the White House collection. His work includes sculpture, painted pottery and gourds, murals, silk tree printing, painting, and sawdust carpets, or as they are called, alfombras. The alfombra, a traditional ephemeral art form, has become a hallmark of his work in Arlington, the Smithsonian Festival, the Smithsonian Museum of American Indian, various cultural centers, churches, museums, and embassies throughout the US East Coast. He initiates and completes projects that help people across the Mayan diaspora. In 2017, he was bestowed La Orden de la Quetzal, the Guatemalan government's highest honor for his artistry and community service. I have witnessed firsthand many of the art forms that Ubaldo created, and especially the sawdust carpets that we'll be discussing this evening. And I'm really, really thrilled to have you tonight. Welcome, Ubaldo.
Hi to everyone. Yeah, we're here ready to talk and introduce the project of Alfombra.
Thank you. And I just wanted to mention that we have help tonight also by Michael Esposito, who is the other co-founder of the Raíces Culturales Latinoamericanas. And for those of you who attended his presentation in February, you already know some of his works, but maybe you didn't know that he has worked with Yolanda for 30 years now, and he's joining us tonight to help with the presentation and placing additional information into the chat. So welcome to all of you. I'm really thrilled, so I want to turn it over to you now.
I really am, Yvette, we're really pleased to be here today and with the tradition of alfombras. And this is something I'm very passionate about. And actually, we used to make sawdust carpets in the Philadelphia area when I was there. And it was quite a project. But today, as Ubaldo and I were just, getting ready for the presentations, we thought that we would like to dedicate this program to our mothers. His mother, Luisa Hernandez Lopez, and my mother, Elvira Gaitan Batres. So we're just very excited again to have to be here as we celebrate our 30th year of sharing and growing our roots in the Delaware Valley and expanding to the rest of the East Coast. One of the things that I've enjoyed most about being part of Raíces Culturales is meeting artists and working with artists over the long term, like Ubaldo Sanchez. And so over the years, we've actually gotten to know each other. And it was really the carpets that brought us to this. So if you go to the next slide, we can talk a little bit about this. And, you know, how did this carpet bring us together, Ubaldo? We were at Sagrado Corazon, which is one of the large Latino churches, mainly Latino churches in Washington, D.C. And so it was 2007, and I gathered a group of people to make this carpet. And I heard about you.
And I hear about you.
And it was through the carpets that we heard about each other. And so how did we actually finally meet?
When Hector Palacio invited me to Embassy of Guatemalan, and how I met you.
Right. So that's where our collaboration began in about 2007. The tradition of the alfombra de acerrín, and it doesn't just need to be sawdust acerrín, but it can be flowers or many different materials, is mainly in Guatemala during Lent, where the processions actually leave the churches and people make these beautiful ephemeral pieces of art in front of their homes so that the procession will pass over them. And we'll discuss that a little longer later. But here in the States, actually the people love these alfombras so much that we actually have done them in different places. For example, this round carpet, Ubaldo, maybe you can tell us a little bit.
The first one, it was at Sagrado Corazon Church in Washington, D.C. The next one, the Mayan calendar, it was on National Museum of the American Indian, Washington, D.C.
Mm-hmm. Right. So we made that, and I think we made a similar one at the University of Pennsylvania for Baktun 13.
Yeah, that's
So,
right.
so, and this is the cargador del tiempo, the carrier of time. As we move along, we want to show you just very a brief summary of, to put the carpets in context of how it happens in Antigua, Guatemala, and really all over the country, but Antigua is internationally known as one of the places that has the most processions ever. They have one or two every weekend, if not more. And on Good Friday, there are 7, 8, or 9, or 10,
Wow.
many processions. And people are making these carpets in front of the procession so that when the floats carrying Jesus and Mary come, they are walked over. It's a show of faith and sometimes penance, because it takes quite a bit of work to put them together. And this is in 2018 at about 3 o'clock in the morning, where the students from one of the universities have made this carpet and is ready for the procession that will begin at 6 o'clock. So they probably started maybe 8, 9 o'clock at night or before, and worked as a team together to make this particular alfombra using the sawdust, the pine needles, and corozo, which is the male flower of the palm tree. It's something that we can't get here. And it has a very special type of odor. And there's just a few other examples of the carpets that are made. I don't know, which one is your favorite, Ubaldo?
The pine needle and also the corozo, the in the cartucho, how you call it, those?
The ones that the pods that these flowers come in. So it's really quite a and they're only around at this time of the year, so
Yeah.
for Lent. But as we move forward, we can see how the floats come out of the church. This is now 6 o'clock in the morning after 5 o'clock mass. The sun is rising, and Jesus is leaving the church. The floats are made of mahogany, and they weigh many tons, and they're carried on the shoulders of about 100 to 150 men. And there's a certain rhythm that you can see. A band follows behind, a full band of musicians follows behind with the funeral marches. And the next one, you can see the sort of the, you can just go ahead, and you can see a little more of the details of the scenes that are made. And every year it's different. So volunteers, artists work on this. Mary is the teacher. Always 11 minutes.
One.
And of course the music. And here is Mary as being carried by women down the street. And so they are definitely always in the procession, walking over the carpets. Everybody walks around the carpets until after the procession. And so as we go forward, we can kind of, we'll see the end. This is the end of the procession, always coming, cleaning up, because there might be a need to make another carpet in the next 8 hours. So in Antigua, they have this pretty much down to a science. So maybe we could stop and see if there are any questions.
I just I wanted to ask something at this time. I mean, we see the sawdust carpets as a type of ephemeral art form. It's meant to be destroyed almost immediately after it was created. And I mean, here at Wheaton, our visitors know several of such art forms over the years. We've done Indian Rangoli, we've done Haitian Veve, we've done Tibetan Sun Mandala. Now we're working with you on sawdust carpets, but it's to many of our visitors, it is a little sad experience to see how quickly they are destroyed. Ubaldo, how do you feel about this? Two people walk over the carpet right after you finished it.
That's the main when walk through, that's the emotion coming, because we give as a gift to the God, expressing our feeling, because art is a universal language. So and also we're doing this for the Mother Earth, so we're the emotional coming.
Yes. Well, we began receiving questions. Roger Wing wants to know how is the sawdust colored.
It we bring the color in Guatemala because we can't find in United States, so the color has to be special. In that way, we can't. It's washable. So maybe Yolanda.
It's also very bright. I've been known to carry kilos of the powdered, the powdered colors from Guatemala every time I go, or sometimes we have to get it shipped, which is even, it's a little expensive because it's heavy. But
Pam Whiteman wants to know how many people work on one carpet. Is it a team effort or completed by an individual?
It's a team. For example, in Washington D.C., we start with 8 friends, and then while we're doing so, the community ask or other people from coming from everywhere asking to be part of, so we're sharing and teach them how to make the carpet. So at the end we were like 75 people to
Oh,
make
wow.
but
This
in
is
in
serious.
Arlington also, uh in First Church Fairfax, it's around 150 people making the carpet, about 15 artists, principal artists, so how work together.
It truly is a community project, and I think that I can share a secret at this time with our attendees that in September we are planning to have a carpet done on the grounds of Wheaton, inviting everyone who comes through the door to join our team and help Ubaldo with creating the carpet. So Patricia, Kathy Rivera is asking, are the designs made freehand or a cutout form?
when I make the carpet, I have to use a stencil because I am, unlike Ubaldo, I'm not talented in what he does. But as you'll see, actually the carpets can take many shapes. And so in Guatemala, we can buy the pre-made stencils, and they're quite extensive in their variety of different either religious or sometimes more secular kinds of things. And you can make, and then there's, so that's for the middle of the carpet, but also for the perimeter is always decorated, and usually that's done with a stencil. But Ubaldo,
I'm doing with my freehand, and also some still inviting and involving other artists, so we're doing by freehand.
Well, am I to understand that if you have more experienced artists, you're doing it freehand? But if you are a little unsure, then you use
But the border, the many decoration going to the carpet, so we're doing with stencil.
Yeah.
And some of them fruits, we sometimes we have to cut fruits to.
Yes, we'll see some of that.
Yeah, we'll see later.
Okay.
All right. Well, Patricia Gomez wants to know, is there any connection between the themes on the carpets and those of the floats?
during Lent, since it is a very religious time in the Catholic Church, the carpets are usually of a religious nature in some way or another. However, I noticed when I was there in 2018 and in 2019, you know, people, so there is one man who I wish I could share that video. He does only geometric shapes, and he does different geometric shapes in different combinations, and has developed even different techniques on how to get these very precise color and geometry, and they're beautiful. And so sometimes it's an organization and they'll put their logo and that kind of thing. Or I've seen the one with many hands, and so it varies. But at during Lent, and this is mainly when it's done in Guatemala, you see a lot of very religious ones, and they, you know, scenes from the Bible and that kind of thing. But also here, I don't know, we've done many different kinds.
We have done about culture and about for example, in 2017 or 18, I don't remember, we did for honor of the immigration. So people coming with their idea and experiencing their feelings, or how it works.
I think that was for the Smithsonian Folklife Festival in 2017. That was
I
for
see.
the 50th anniversary of that. So anyway, so that was a celebration of the diversity and rich cultural fabric of the United States.
This is again from Kathy. She wants to know whether the designs of the carpet that you showed us, the ones that are for Easter, traditional, or do they change every year?
They change every year. They change every day. So the families that are really dedicated to this, they'll spend the whole year planning all the different carpets that they're going to make during Lent. And it really does bring them together. They have the stencils, they have to prepare the sawdust and any other fabrics, any other materials that they might be using. So it is it's not really spontaneous. Some people do spontaneous ones, but a lot of people plan very much in advance. We're going to move along and introduce to you one of the great experiences that we've had with our cohorts from Spain. We were privileged to have the opportunity, and also in 2018, to work with the Vicenta Payares y Castillo. The next video, Vicenta will tell us a little bit about the tradition in Spain and how it began. And I'll have to say, this is actually all in Spanish. Her native language is Catalan, but she does speak Spanish, which is it's very close. But I believe that the translation is in the chat, and so you can follow along as to what we'll be saying. We're not going to translate it, but it will be in the chat, so you can get an idea of what she's saying as far as the development in Europe, Italy, Portugal.
Vengo a hablarles de las alfombras de flores y materiales naturales. Las alfombras de flores nacen en España y en algunos países en el Corpus Christi, que es una fiesta de la Iglesia Católica para celebrar la presencia de Cristo en la Eucaristía. En España empiezan las alfombras en el siglo XIV en Galicia, el XV en Cataluña y a partir del XVI en las demás provincias. Y es en el siglo XVII y XVIII que va extendiéndose esta tradición para embellecer las calles por donde pasaba la custodia y así se vienen haciendo todavía en muchas ciudades de distintos países. Esta tradición se desarrolla por la fe cristiana de sus alfombristas y después por el valor cultural y artístico que tiene la alfombra. No en todos los países se hacen las alfombras para el Corpus Christi. Por ejemplo, en América Latina se hacen para celebrar el patrón de la ciudad, para el Día de Muertos, como es el caso de México, Guatemala, Ecuador, Brasil, etc. Y también ocurre así en Portugal, en Bruselas, en Japón o en la India, por ejemplo. Las alfombras se hacen en comunidad, entre vecinos de las calles donde se elaboran, en asociaciones de cada ciudad y en grupos organizados para una fiesta concreta. Por ejemplo, hacer alfombras era una artesanía hasta el año 2012. En el Congreso Internacional de Barcelona, un comité científico concluyó que estas alfombras son obras de arte porque cumplen sus requisitos, ya que ocupan espacios públicos y crean un impacto visual de belleza y creatividad. Desde entonces, ya como obra de arte efímero, las alfombras han evolucionado muchísimo gracias a los valores que nos definen a los miembros de la Coordinadora Internacional que trabajamos unidos para un objetivo común. El arte efímero crea, pues, comunidad nacional e internacional. Hasta la creación de la Coordinadora Internacional, cada pueblo o ciudad hacía sus alfombras. Hoy estamos organizados y hacemos intercambios y eventos con los compañeros de 12 países distintos. Somos, por tanto, un referente mundial. Respetamos las tradiciones de cada uno, compartiendo las técnicas, habilidades y la cohesión social. Además, ayudamos a nuevos grupos a los que acogemos para ayudarlos a la difusión de sus tradiciones. Miren, yo soy alfombrista voluntaria y en activo desde el año 1996. Hace 25 años que hago alfombras en mi ciudad y hace 15 años que las hago con la Federación Catalana. Vamos por el mundo con el arte catalán de hacer alfombras de flores y materiales naturales, como hicimos en Washington hace 2 años.
This is actually just a very quick video of us working with the 12 people who brought themselves to Washington to make this wonderful, wonderful carpet on the National Mall. You see Ubaldo there was right in there working with them. I ordered about 4,000 carnations, hundreds of gerberas. Ubaldo dyed bushels and bushels of sawdust of all different colors as prescribed. And of course you see that this one, ¿qué materiales hay aquí? What materials are here, Ubaldo?
And it's really hard to find out the color because sawdust is not, we cannot find only pine sawdust. So it's really hard to get the color that they wanted. So the thing I mix the color they brought, so that way to keep the natural color they wanted, and come up really good. And also I find that sand, white sand, and also how to dye. And I teach them how to do because they added the white to get the color they wanted about cloth, but it worked but itself because I know how to do with it when it gets dry. So keep doing like really sky. So, and I learned something about the techniques.
It was a very wonderful exchange, and some of the other alfombristas that are in the area also came to help with this particular carpet. And Marcy, if you can move to the next slide, you can actually see some of the details as we were finishing. So the border was actually gerberas. It was 100 degrees in July. So some of the flowers, it was a good thing it only was supposed to last for 2 days. And Ubaldo really helped them to to adapt to some of that unexpected heat that we encountered. But you can see the carpet as it is almost completed there from a bird's eye view. That was really a very wonderful exchange, and we're very happy to still be in touch, and really thank Vicenta for all the effort that she put in to prepare not only the video that you saw, but 2 additional ones that we just don't have time for today, but maybe we'll put them up again at another point in time. So we can go, are there any other questions before we move to the next section?
I see one from Elena Stolzer. What
Yeah.
is the process of collecting all the beautiful items to make the carpet?
It's a matter of knowing where to source your sawdust and your flowers. And so I'm always looking. Where do you get your sawdust, Ubaldo?
Up from lumber yard. Any lumber yard I'm seeing around the metro area. So
We're even on one of the lumber yards near my house. We're on text terms. So I actually text my contact there and say, oh, we need really fine sawdust from this particular machine that does the fine sawdust, or we need the coarser sawdust for a different kind of carpet. So we're always looking and exploring the group from Spain. They for gray, they use kitty litter, gray kitty litter. So I went to source the kitty litter only to find out that kitty litter in the United States has little blue things in it because for Febreze, so we had some fun collecting that. And anytime I see something that might be possible to use, we collect it.
Yeah, Yolanda one time dropped off about 10 months worth of kitty litter. I didn't have to buy it for nearly a year, like all the extras she couldn't use at the Sawdust carpet. My cat was very thankful.
Any other questions?
The next one is from Maria Kisikova, and her question is, are these carpets made only for rituals? Could it be made as a creative expression if the artist wants to?
Yes, they are certainly used for ceremonies, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. And they're also, like we said, used during Lent. And the evolution of it has been that they are also made for festivals. And this is more of a development here in the United States. So it is, in fact, you can adapt it. And I think that Ubaldo, you need to speak to your artistry with how you, but Ubaldo, this was not your design, but you helped with this design.
Yes, it comes already from Spain or Catalana.
Catalan, right. And the theme of this is the iconic places and architecture found in Catalonia, and so that was the theme, and that's kind of what they're expressing there.
Yeah, you can see the Sagrada Familia Cathedral in the picture on the right.
Yes, and that's something that is known throughout the world as one of the wonderful cathedrals.
Yes, and we can see also the house by Gaudi. We recognize Gaudi architecture anywhere, including in these carpets.
Right.
Yes. So Daniela Nyberg asks, what is your greatest satisfaction after completing such a project?
Well, to working, like I said, this piece of art is universal. It speaks on the art. So satisfaction. That's the end. We have to teach from the community, involve the community, and also keep this traditional, and also we're doing on the bar of our heart um, to give thanks to the God.
And for me, it's it's a long process to get everything ready, and then to see all the, the beauty of it, and the joy that everybody has when it's done. Everybody is just, they might be a little stressed out when they're not, quite finished and the procession is coming, or something is coming up in the program and they're not quite done, but it always comes together. And that kind of is a life lesson for me, that that eventually it all comes together, and it's very much worth the effort, because the joy at the end is so wonderful.
Okay, next question is from Lois Paolela. Do school children begin to learn this art form in their classroom in art classes, or is it strictly learned and taught at home within a family structure?
The family's instruction. And
Okay.
in Guatemala, we're gonna talk later how involve the high schools or other teams. It's that's a part of art project.
Okay. Okay.
And I have done this project with some schools, so it can be done. And we've also done workshops on the National Mall where people can make small carpets. But it really is something that one learns within the family, and as people are growing up. And it really is a family tradition. And some families don't have it, but their tradition is really to go and look at all the carpets that are being made. So they're the audience. It's always fun to be the audience.
Yeah, I have work on teaching the student from Washington Lee High School in Arlington. So they get interesting about the art project. So we did like almost like painting by number.
Right.
Almost.
So it's a mural on the floor. Any other
Okay.
questions?
Yes. Daniela Nyberg asked, please also tell us about your inspirations. Your work is truly fantastic.
Art always has been my passion. So sometimes we see what's going in the world, or sometimes we choose from the Bible or from the oral history. How come the inspiration, and also life is continuing today? So everything we see, we can add it to the carpet, or becomes like art piece.
There's one more, well, actually there are two more questions. Kathy Rivera asked, how do you keep the sawdust carpet from blowing away?
The carpet is wet. The sawdust, when we do it outside, is actually wet. And then you have to keep it wet. So at 100 degrees, it was a challenge. And I think that they put the National Park Service put a wonderful metal platform out for us for this carpet. And so we had it was they put the red carnations down first, which carefully baked in the sun. And it just, but definitely the wet, you have to maintain the sawdust wet, especially if it's outside.
We keep spraying with the water,
Yeah,
and keeps together. And also we press with piece of wood. You will see later on how what's the process.
You'll see the process, how that several techniques to do that.
Yes, the only problem is that when you were trying to do on a carpet, you were trying to keep it clean, and you don't dare to spray it, which is what I witnessed. Michael, thank you so very much. I have the new questions now showing on my screen. There is one that Vilma Sandoval asked in the chat box.
Okay.
What does the process look like to attain the colors of the sawdust?
So we gather the sawdust in whatever people will give them to us, and usually really like 50-pound bags or 100-pound bags. And then Ubaldo takes over to dye the carpet, to dye the sawdust.
We put water on big bucket or a big container, anything we can find, and mix the paint with water, and then put the sawdust on the water, mixing with how to mix with the drill, electric drill, because it's the fast to do. But in Guatemala, with the by a hand.
Right. So the other is with your hands, like kneading dough, like making bread. Only it's when I started in Philadelphia, that's how we did it. We were not clever enough like to get that electric drill. You know, so how did these alfombras evolve or in the Americas? And we wanted to bring ideas. We don't have the carpets in the pre-Columbian archaeological record, but we'd like to just show you that the Maya, the ancient Maya, occupied this area in southern Mexico, the Yucatan Peninsula, what is now Guatemala, Belize, Honduras, and El Salvador. And so as we move to the next slide, we have some evidence of the wonderful cities that the Maya constructed and maintained for hundreds of years, way prior to the arrival of the Europeans and the Spaniards in Latin America. And so you have the plazas, and then you go to the pyramids, iconic pyramids of Tikal. If you go to the next slide, and you can see, you know, that these were probably areas where ceremonies occurred. And if you go to the next slide, we also have so this is a rendering of what we think that these large Mayan cities may have looked like. This is Caminal Huyu, which is actually now surrounded by Guatemala City. But if you go to, we also have the polychrome potteries that give us a sense of how some of the priests and the gods and the rulers were depicted, or how they might have dressed for ceremonies. And so, and the murals like this mural of Bonaparte with the musicians, the maracas and the drum, and the flutes, etc., wearing these headdresses. So I can imagine that they would have maybe also decorated the plazas with the flowers and the any of the flora or fauna that they have, you know, the feathers from the quetzal or other of the very brightly colored birds. We don't know for sure, but Ubaldo has the oral history that has been passed on to him. So moving from the ancient Maya, we'd just like you to look at this particular map of where the Maya are today. And in Mexico, Guatemala, Belize, and Honduras, El Salvador, there are now at least 18 different languages spoken by the Maya communities. And then the red arrow you see below is where Ubaldo is from. And his native language is Mam. But maybe you can tell us, Ubaldo, a little bit about some of the oral tradition that you have experienced, And I think we can go to the next slide.
Well, I am from Concepcion, Chiquirichapa, Quetzaltenango, Guatemala. So when I born, my mom spoke me in her conception in mom, and when I grew up speaking mom, and I am 100% Mayan, and also that town, it's the population, it's 99 point something native or Mayan. And we still speaking our language and culture. We still practicing, and when we're going to middle school, how we learn Spanish. In my case, so when I came here, how I learned English. But in my hometown, always when it's special occasion or ceremony, followed by a colorful piece of art, and also musician and fragrant copal burning every in the place where is gonna be the special occasion. In sometimes when they choose, it not it's not right now in time yeah, the leader, but in that time it was the cargador de Concepción, or the town, how you say the
So the person in
carrier.
charge, the person in charge of Concepcion, or of the town, not the mayor, or not the, it was there's a ceremony for the person who is going to lead the community.
But this the name of I know Benjamin grandfather. That's he was the last person we name continuum, which means the carrier of the town. So in Thanksgiving Day for us, always we're going to another town to bring the rain in the just like lake, and follow with we carry we coming as a procession, but nothing to do with the Spanish culture.
No.
So
the
follow with the
is to bring, they go to a lagoon, which is in another town, and then bring that water to their town. And because many of most of the population are farmers, and so they depend on the harvest. And it is an area in Guatemala that a lot of the population provides most of the produce that is sold.
Yeah, you're right.
Is sold in Guatemala and is taken to El Salvador as well. So the carpets are naturally made of fruits and vegetables.
Yeah, we're taking to the sacred hill where all the rest of the town waiting for the procession. So it's decorated with flowers, pine needle, like you see, almost like this one, but like you see on the screen, and burning copal, and just like a big fiesta. Yeah.
If we go to the next.
But let me add something.
Okay.
Before the Spain came to Spain came to Guatemala, we already have our tradition. Nothing has to do with the European, but when Catholic Church in 16th century, so mixed together. So now the Catholic Church keep this tradition.
And there are many such types of traditions that have evolved in the Americas post-conquest. This is one of them, and there are many other ones as well. But today, really, there is a thriving Alfombra tradition, and Ubaldo has really been one of the people, certainly in the Washington, D.C. area, and as we expand to New Jersey and other communities, then we can also foster this tradition in people who are in the diaspora. And I have found, working with many different communities from Latin America, that once people are out of the survival mode then they can, and they start to have children and they settle down in a community, they can then think about, oh, I want my children to learn about about my, some of the things that I grew up knowing. So if we go to the next slide, we can see Ubaldo depicting a traditional huipil.
That's the women
Uh-huh.
dressing.
For the and he actually made this in a parking lot in a very much in Lanley Park, Maryland, sponsored by a Guatemalan who is has a supermarket chain. He's very much a supporter of the arts and supports this particular festival. But the woman is wearing a huipil or a blouse from Concepcion.
You can see on the screen, she's my sister and my brother-in-law dancing. So how the lady or the woman dress, and also from San Martin Zacatepec, it's next to Concepcion Chiquirichapa, the men's dress like my brother-in-law is wearing.
Right. Yeah. So this was one of the other festivals that Ubaldo and the Asociación Primaveral put together. So in the next slide, as we move forward, there are other places that Ubaldo has come together, and this was again 2019 was a big year.
The Day of the Dead, how I work with Felipe Heredia. He's from Mexico, and we come together to do the design and also the carpet. And he come up with the idea to put the Katrina because it's famous or it's traditional in Mexico.
Right, the Katrina, and this was a collaborative effort where Felipe actually did the drawing, and then Ubaldo and some other friends put the color and the life into it, as well as Felipe. So Felipe did the drawing and learned how to do the carpets. And you see the Catrinas in the background. Some of our ladies who are from a dance group, a Mexican dance group. And in the way back, you also see the kites. And I'd like Ubaldo to tell you about the kites from Zumpango.
Yeah, the meaning of the kite. We're flying on the Day of the Dead or Dia de los Muertos in Guatemala. It's to send a message from our ancestor flying. And in Zumpango, it's you're gonna see a really big festival coming, going there, and huge kites with different design, and it's a really amazing. Maybe you have been there, right?
I have not. I have
No?
never been there. But if you Google Zumpango or kites Guatemala, you'll get some wonderful sense of how these are very small compared to how big they are and how they make them
To fly those has to be 10-15 people, because it's a really huge.
So if we move forward on the slides, this is just a close-up and of the artistry that came together, the marigolds, the glyphs that I think Ubaldo interjected into some symbols there at the bottom, and of course the musicians that are always playing. And during the time of the Day of the Dead, for celebrating people's lives.
The mariachi.
The mariachi, right, the mariachi. So we can move forward. And I think this was a very special one of Claudia Gomez Gonzalez in 2018 also. And this was done at the OAS, but maybe this can speak to the inspiration that Ubaldo gets.
Yeah, this lady gets shot from the border. She trying to to come in this country, but passed away. So we did this carpet in Washington D.C. It's near from the White House, right?
Yeah, at the Organization of American States, which is at the corner of 17th Street and Constitution Avenue. And there's the OAS has also a wonderful museum, and they had an exhibit that was honoring the immigrants.
Yeah, we use sawdust and many of flowers
Right.
you brought in sand.
Right, and we worked with an organization called Hola Cultura that we've done other projects with, and Raíces Culturales. So Ubaldo was able to make our logos, which we were very happy about. Okay. So we go to this is the slide that we saw earlier today from Sagrado Corazon. And this was also Easter of 2019. Are we doing one this year?
Yes.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yes.
So Good Friday, come to Sagrado Corazon on 16th Street in Columbia Heights, and you will see this carpet. Columbia Heights is an area of Washington, D.C.
We talk about the decoration going to the carpet.
Right,
I did a stencil for this rosary,
but
but I saw a woman coming with many orange, and wow, why don't we cut the orange, making as part of the carpet? So, and using rice to connect together. So how come rosary?
Right. So maybe we can go to the video, which is next, and you can see the carpet in the making. And maybe Ubaldo, you can tell us here he's mixing some sawdust. He had to get the color just right.
Yeah, and yeah, we getting the blue, and we speaking Mayan our language. Yeah, mom, you can hear some.
We're also playing the music, the marches, the funeral marches are also being played. Just a little bit for a moment.
How we share the community. I think one day.
No drill there, right?
No drill there because no electricity in the street.
And here's the stencil for the name of this particular group that makes the carpets, called Guatemalan, DC.
And the lady, the image of the lady on the carpet was made by freehand without stencil.
She's wearing her headdress, and we invite you to come to see an exhibit of the textiles in September at the WheatonArts at the Folk Life Center.
You see, we using any kind of material. We using this time a rice. Couldn't able to find white, the color white, and some rocks and
mosses. Sometimes we just go foraging wherever we can. Once he has the design in mind, then the materials come together, I think, right? Once you make your design, or you decide you're on your design, then you need to figure out what materials are going to give you the colors that you want. You also need to decide what your base color is and how you're going to layer one color on top of the other, or one color next to the other.
This particular Jesus Christ, I use sawdust, sand, little rocks, and
Cotton.
cotton,
Mhm.
algodón.
Right.
So it come up together in flowers.
And then we also often are asked to do things for the diplomatic community. And DC has a couple of weekends in the summer where the embassies open their doors and to share their culture or heritage with the whole DC community. And this was at the in front of the Guatemalan embassy, where Ubaldo made this carpet. Maybe you can. What was your conversation with the embassy about this? And
It's to promote the tourists, and they asked me to make the quetzal, which is national bird in Guatemala, and the lake of Amatitlan. So yeah, this one was big piece, and also I use stencil, and part of the decoration I use glyph of the Mayan, and it was colorful.
right. And that was also the marimba, which Ubaldo has also been one of the prime movers to bring that together. And you can you can see some of the instruments there.
Yeah, with the Grupo Awal, because
Grupo
Benicio is
Awal.
involved
Mhm.
on the marimba.
Right. Yeah. So in the Philadelphia area in 2019, we had a wonderful weekend um, at the University of Pennsylvania Museum. Um, I guess it's now called UPenn Museum. And they were opening the galleries, the the Mesoamerican galleries, and also celebrating that they had moved the Sphinx into a very prominent area of the museum. And so Ubaldo made this carpet, but maybe you can talk a little more about that.
Yeah, to when I saw
Stella.
the Stella Mayan, it was honor for me to be on front of both of them, the Sphinx and the Mayan, and to work together, putting in the as a piece of the carpet. So it was really honor for me to work. How it was the first time I used pine needle.
Mhm. In the States.
In United States, and this piece come up with the calendar Mayan. You see 20 glyph of Mayans around this carpet, and at the next day I really share this piece of art with Catholic Church from Philadelphia, right?
Right. The Virgen de Guadalupe. He actually went from making the uh, the carpet at the University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia to Chester, Pennsylvania, at the St. Catherine Drexel Church, where there is a Guatemalan community, and Ubaldo actually began making that carpet that very evening.
Yeah, and then I met many Guatemalan lives there. I didn't know that, but about 20 young men coming at 7 o'clock to help me to do the
To the
carpet.
carpet, uh-huh. And they also are mom speakers there too.
Yeah, they are speaking. They are from San Marcos.
Uh-huh.
It's far away from where I live.
Mhm. So I think they were very happy to meet each other, and that was a wonderful connection. And we hope to involve them in some of the programming at WheatonArts when we have the textiles there, and also um, the, uh, uh, the making of the carpet. And this is just a little process photo of. Maybe you can talk a little bit about making the stencils.
Yeah, making the stencil. This was made of. It's not
Foam?
plywood from foam.
Foam, uh-huh.
Yeah, because
form.
and also it was the first time I did big ones, because this one if I'm not sure, it's 20, it's about 3 feet, I think. I forgot, but
I have them in my basement.
you still have.
One thing about artists is that, they make one thing and then they just move on. And I'm a hoarder. And so I keep the sawdust that we haven't used. And I also make sure that I collect all the wonderful stencils that Ubaldo has made. So if we need to do it again, he doesn't have to make the stencil all over again.
Because every carpet has to be different. Why you have all of them?
That's right. Or maybe there are some questions.
Yes, we have a couple of questions that I can tell at this time, and then we'll leave the other questions to the end, at the end of the presentation. But now there was one question when you were talking about the Mayan languages, and people wanted to know whether these are distinct languages that you were talking about, these more than 20 Mayan languages spoken today, or are these dialects of one Mayan language?
It's language because ¿cómo se dice? Yeah, syllables and can you say it?
Yeah, the Mayans consider them languages, not dialects. And some of them are very, very different from each other. Some of them are similar. I mean, for example, from one area, we did a project in the San Francisco area, and the people who live in Oakland, California, speak Mam, but they're also from the Mexican border area, where in Huehuetenango, and so that Mam is slightly different than the Mam that Ubaldo speaks.
Not much. It's
But not
just
much,
a
not
little
much,
bit,
right.
but it's language because we can write down and
Right.
on, and also it's Mayan. It's civilization Mayan, not tribe. So yeah, it's language.
So these are languages, and they have their own dialects. The next question is: are these languages taught in school? Or
Now, yes, the university and the schools teaching right now. It's part of the education in Guatemala. If I'm not sure, 5 years ago, the government signed for this bill, so it come up like part of the education.
I think, yeah.
all right.
And there are many Mayan now in the field, they are teachers. In fact, Ubaldo's family, several of his sisters are teachers, and they work in the community in Concepcion Chiquirichapa. I think your brother also was a teacher, right?
Yeah, he was a teacher.
Right. So I think that, and it's also, if you don't speak a Mayan language and you go to a community that is mainly Mayan, you must learn how to communicate with the community directly.
People from here arrive to my town. Sometimes they work there, so becomes looking for a family. So some of them lives in like in family in Concepcion Chiquirichapa. It is much much faster to learn Mam.
Yes. And I should have learned it by now.
Yeah.
So any other questions?
Well, there's one that was related to the carpets made of fruit and vegetables. And Kathy wanted to know whether people eat the food or just walk on it.
I have seen these beautiful carpets, and they do walk on them. These are a little bit difficult to walk on, so people who are carrying the large platform floats walk gingerly on them, and then many people will come up behind the float and take the vegetables, because they're not. This is in Antigua, So I don't know about Concepcion.
Yeah, they can take off the piece of the vegetable or wash, but yeah, but they pass on the carpet, walk through the carpet. I mean,
Yes, but at the end, instead of throwing them away, they're just taking them home and eat them.
yes.
Okay. All right. And just one last question at this time. Is there
Because let me add something, because the big platform, only the procession has to walk through, not the people. Only the people carry and the big procession, not whole the community has to walk through, because it's special to honor the Jesus.
I see. All right. So the last question is there any theme or subject matter that you would love to make into a carpet in the future?
What was that question?
Hay algo que tienes una idea para un sujeto, una historia o algo que estás pensando hacer.
I'm doing like a permanently team in Washington, and I'm trying to do project we might do in Arlington, part of cultural center, to keep this and to have how to teach carpet
making.
or carpet making.
Right. Okay.
So you would love to see more educational programs for carpet making?
Yes,
I
because
see.
in that way we can bring a young people, or yeah, any age, I know, but the new generation.
All right. Okay, so let's continue, and we'll save the other questions after the next few slides.
Okay. So one of as Iveta and I were talking about doing this program, it evolved that maybe we should actually film Ubaldo making a small carpet at the center, and also have it more permanently there. So we talked about theme, and this was really inspired by Ubaldo and I discussed it, and we decided to do this particular carpet on the corn god, Dios de Maíz. And maybe you can tell us how it would.
Tiushilhal or Tiushilshin, that's the El Dios de Maíz.
El Dios de Maíz, right. And on this pre-Columbian plate, you can see the story of the corn god being born out of turtle shells. And of course, the turtle represents the earth, the land. And on the sides are the hero twins from the story of creation that we still have from the colonial times, the story of the creation of man. And the story goes that the gods tried to make man out of mud,
Wood.
and then out of wood. And they finally settled on maize, on maíz. And so it's really central. Corn is central to.
Yeah, we choose this important image because it is a part of Mayan culture. For example, the corn represent the 4 point of the world, and also represent the four color of the skin of the human being. For example, in this painting, which I painted this a couple years ago, you see the same lady I painted with a different dress and the same face, but I went to identify about the corn. See, it's black there, and yellow, and white, and red. So represents the 4 point of the world. That's why it is really important.
so that's how we decided on this particular theme. And we can move to the next slide as we arrive at the Down Jersey Folklife Center as part of WheatonArts, and always on the move, always ready to have the sawdust in the car, ready to roll. And so some of the materials, Ubaldo is mixing. We are making the color for the face, right?
Yeah, I wasn't happy with the color of the sun, so I have to mix with sawdust already dye, so come up the color of the skin.
So in the next slide, we have just a few other things that we are experimenting with. This summer, I from a farmer's market source, I just purchased many hundreds of flowers from her garden that she grows, and just dried them, and so that we had them ready to go for this particular carpet. Next slide. And this is the stencils that Ubaldo used in the perimeter of this particular carpet, and they are the number 18 of the Mayan calendar. How did you choose that? Was it an artistic choice?
Yeah, artistic choice. And also I choose the number 0 because the number 0 comes from the Mayan. When you're born, you keep doing something in your life, and then when you're dead, you're nothing. So always has signification.
Significance, yeah.
Significant.
And we'll see that in a little bit. If you want to move forward, so we can go to the video that our friend from the Friends of the Folklife Center had the wonderful patience to film Ubaldo for over 6 hours over a 2-day period, actually making the carpet, and he reduced it to 5 minutes and 30 seconds. So while we play this video, I want to thank Bill May for the wonderful job that he did. And Ubaldo is going to tell us, what he's doing, and kind of a little more about the process, but you'll actually see the process as he creates this carpet. I think we can go to the video.
How I drew the Dios de Maíz. I use sand, fine sand, and also I use white sand, and the color of the skin I mixed with sawdust. And the black I'm using to give us details is really fine sand.
So is this outlining and shadowing?
Yes, yes. And also I'm using my finger, brush, any kind of material I find in my way, so it becomes part of the process. And I'm using as a different techniques.
Is that the color, the colored one? Is that sawdust or is it sand?
It's sand. No, it's sawdust. I mean, it's sawdust. See the piece of wood I'm using to press as an ironing.
Ironing, like ironing.
Yep. To keep it together. And some part of this art piece, I put the water just to keep together. This is I'm using I'm doing by freehand. Many details. Some carpet when it's smaller takes more time than huge one. I have done huge when Benedict XVI came to in Washington D.C. In about 8 hours, but it's a really huge one, 150 mirror by 15, I think. I forgot, but it's really big, but it didn't take much time. Like this particular, takes more time.
We had more people.
And also, yeah. How the Mayan dress with quetzal feathers in hair dress. See how I'm mixing with the water. And also to keep the color bright, I'm using water. In Guatemala or in special occasion, we using in Guatemala we do have many kind of sand. Some of them comes from the volcano or from beach or from everywhere. So has a different color. So we're using as part of the carpet. Not only sawdust.
Here, did you change your mind about the color?
Oh yeah, I wasn't happy with the blue because it wasn't bright. So I keep adding more. I changed my mind, so I use other kind of blue. As an artist, always if we're not happy with some of painting or drawing, always change.
And so this is the 0?
Yeah, this is the number 0. So how many children's involved to make the carpet? Because we use in stencil also flowers. So they enjoy to participate in doing the carpet.
For this one, it was all you. You were the only one working. Everybody else was taking pictures. This carpet will be there for when the museum opens their doors in early April. You'll get more opportunity to actually see this. And of course, the pine all around and the candles. The candles will be maybe will be used probably at the ceremony. And if you go to the next slide, our shaman who lives in Mayan shaman who actually lives in Philadelphia, and he has come to events here as well, will probably be able to do a ceremony because he strongly believes that ceremonies need to be experienced. So you really can't do a virtual ceremony. And so we hope that he'll join us at one of the programs that we do at WheatonArts.
See, and we have many color of sawdust and sand.
So you can visit WheatonArts starting Friday, April 2nd on weekends, and they are all time tickets and they're available. So I think that this is where we can, maybe Iveta, you'd like to tell us more about that, and then we can go to questions.
Yes, with pleasure. This is my favorite topic, inviting people to come and visit us. And we promise that this carpet will not be immediately destroyed. At least one carpet will not be walked over for at least several months. So we will have it on display until the end of July. So anytime you want to visit the Folk Life Center at WheatonArts, you will see it. Ubaldo even left with me a few of the colors of the sawdust to make repairs if something happens. So we hope it will be in a good shape. Also, you mentioned that the shaman will do a ceremony, and you referred several times to the exhibit that we're going to open in the fall, and it's going to be on Mayan traje. We call it Mayan traje, tradition in transition. It will feature different forms of Mayan fiber arts from all the new days. Contemporary artists will be involved with this project as well. And we're hoping that we might be able to do a much bigger size carpet on our campus and invite the people to participate as part of the opening program of the exhibit. And this will be the time when we're hoping the shaman will come and do the ceremony for the opening of the exhibit and the carpet. And of course, the theme of the carpet will be around weaving and weavers and the goddess of weavers, Shell. And we don't know what the design is because we're waiting for Ubaldo to come up with nice designs so that people can create the carpet together with him. So we have a few questions. If you don't mind, I'll go ahead and read them to you. So the dyes, what type of dyes do you use? Is someone asking for the sawdust? What are they, natural dyes, or how are they prepared?
Some of them is natural. For example, white, it doesn't come in other material, so has to be natural, which is cal.
Oh, so let's see, cal. Cal in Guatemala, it's a chalk dust, so to speak. But there's many mountains that have cal in Guatemala, and it's almost like a pumice stone. And
Also the achote, which
achote, right.
Achote the name or has name.
I'm afraid I have lost that word. Achote, I don't know how to translate it at the moment, but maybe Michael can help us. That is, it's almost, it's like an orange. You use it in cooking, and but it turns things orange, almost like turmeric turns things orange. Or yellow. This does the achote is orange. But for the most part, nowadays, they are aniline dyes, and they come in a powder, and those are the ones that we use. When the Catalonians came, they actually sent us the liquid dyes that they use, and they are printing dyes, so used in printers. So that was a new one for us, but they're very, very expensive. So
I see.
Yeah, they wanted their colors. So
this is their preference. While we're on the subject of colors, Giorgio Martin is asking what dye is used for the brilliant color.
To have that fresh color, or we have to keep water to keep the color live. Has to be wet. So only that way you're gonna see the natural color. So when dries, it's losing a little bit, not much, but lose a little bit of the color.
All right. Well, I see that my daughter joined us from England, and she wants to know how many different color corn have you used in your art, and whether these are naturally occurring colors of the corn.
The corn, it's a white, yellow, black, and red. That's the color of the skin we have as a human being in the world.
Right. And those are natural colors of corn. And corn comes in many different forms, not only colors, but also small cobs. And it's really only in this country that in New Jersey. New Jersey is famous for their sweet corn, but this corn is much hardier. and actually, we'll be putting some corn out when we around that carpet when for just a day, because unfortunately it also brings mice.
In Guatemala, I have seen corn just like Jesus' blood, in white and many bloods. Like, I don't know how come it's natural, but
Yeah.
the primer color it's black, yellow, red, and white.
All right. Well, we didn't dare to use it in the Folk Life Center because we're afraid that mice might be tempted. So we kind of stayed with the sand and the sawdust so that we can keep the carpet on display for a while. Someone answered your question, Yolanda, about Cal. It's limestone. You were not
Limestone,
sure
yes,
about
thank you.
limestone,
Thank
yes.
you very much. Yes.
And also, someone wanted to know whether this presentation will be uploaded on YouTube, and yes, it will be. And Marcy will send out an announcement when the recording is available to be watched. So these are all the questions that I have so far. If someone else wants to ask something else, we have just about a few minutes. You can put them in the Q&A box. And meanwhile, I wanted to ask you about your connection with the artists in New Jersey. You said that you worked with artists in Trenton. We have Mayan communities in Trenton area, in Princeton area, and in Cherry Hill area. So do you have any idea how many Mayan people are in these areas in New Jersey, whether you have
In New
contacts?
Jersey, I think about 10,000.
15,000?
No, 10, about 10.
In the Trenton area.
In Trenton area, because I have been there with festivals, so I saw many Guatemalan.
Lots of Guatemalan.
And
In fact, I believe about 2 years ago, they actually opened a consulate in Philadelphia, because the consulate here in the DC area just couldn't handle, because they were handling up north as far as New Jersey, Trenton, that area, and then as far south as Kentucky. So and west. And so they did recently put another consul, and of course there's one in New York City as well. So the population has really grown in, I would say, in the past 25 years. And there was a time where when we lived in Philadelphia, that we knew all the Guatemalans that were there.
Well, that is great. That is great. So any more questions of anyone? I don't see any in the Q&A. We have a link here provided for Anato, for Wikipedia. If someone wants to read it, it's posted there, not in the chat. And also, we had an idea because, as I said in the beginning, Ubaldo is such a brilliant artist and works with so many mediums. We were hoping that at the end, Ubaldo, you can say goodbye on your flute.
okay,
If you can.
I would like to say some word in my own language.
Okay.
In Chikinuntia to Hulu Tochikai bil Hash could with Chonte. So I really would like to thank all people who they are watching us over the world. I really thank you and appreciate. Well, we're gonna play some instrument, one instrument made of clay, and also one of the famous artists did, Carlos Chaclan.
Carlos Chaclan from Guatemala. who has been with us sometimes for several months up here working with the National Museum of the American Indian. And I've been lucky enough to host him and have his studio here at my house.
I learned how to do my own flute, which is the head of a Mayan.
But it's a flute.
Yeah, it is.
Just to say, Carlos Chaclan is a pre-Columbian ceramic restorer, and so he's had the chance to actually see actual Mayan flutes, and because of his gift of being able to make things, ceramic things, he has been able to tune them to the old ones, and so he has brought the sounds that possibly the sounds that were actually used in the Mayan cities. But here we go.
Well, my favorite is this one.
Está muy llena.
Yolanda, she just put a little bit of water.
A little too much?
Yeah, too much.
Too much water. So this, okay, that's good.
Too much water.
Too much water. We had to get rid of the water. We didn't fine tune this one.
It doesn't
Okay.
come up,
Okay.
but
All
it's
right.
okay.
That's okay. So,
It's the head of the Mayan. See. The last one, I would like to play this. Gonna be the last one. This is Jaguar. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Amazing.
Thank you so much, Ubaldo and Yolanda. This was amazing presentation. I'm really, really grateful. And we've received such nice words from people in the chat.
Oh, the caballero
Everyone was here.
It's the eagle.
Oh.
Thank you.
Absolutely wonderful.
it's really been a pleasure to work with you and to be with everybody who joined us today. Gracias.
Chonte.
Michael, can you come back on your can we have Michael come back on just so we can see him and thank him for all his efforts in the chat?
I'm here.
Thank you, Michael. Good
Sure.
to see you.
Yes, it worked out very nicely. I liked the way everything went. It was very smooth.
Yes, and thank you. So I'm going to share some contact information now, and thank you all for being here, and thank you for your efforts in this program. I will put in the chat some of these links as well so that you can follow and keep in touch and hopefully see Yolanda and Ubaldo in person at some time. And I want to thank you all once again for all the attendees for all the participation. And Yolanda and Ubaldo, thank you very, very much for everything you did to bring this together in Avetta. It was absolutely wonderful. I do want to touch on the upcoming Wheaton Conversation, Bolivia Ritual and Dance, with artists Julia Garcia and Maria. Is that Maida? Evetta, do you want to correct me if
Maida,
I'm wrong?
Maria Maida.
Okay, on April 22nd, you can join us for this exciting conversation of Bolivian artists, uncovering the unique stories behind the Bolivian rituals and dances in the context of Bolivian and more broadly Andean traditional culture. So you can sign up again for that. So this is the conclusion of our evening. Again, thank you for being with us and good night all.
Yeah, good night, everyone.
Buenas noches. Buenas noches.
Buenas
Buenas
noches.
noches.
Gracias.